Allow me for a moment to cast aside any semblance of polite understatement and turn the full force of my indignation upon that monstrous, malignant fortress squatting by the Thames, the Tower of London. Let us speak plainly. This cursed hulk is not some quaint reminder of a bygone age, nor is it a charming destination for sunburned tourists to parade through while munching on ice cream cones. It is a vile testament to royal sadism, a stage upon which some of the most loathsome acts of tyranny have been played out in a grotesque pantomime of power. If justice existed in physical form, it would manifest as a wrecking ball swinging into its walls, reducing them to rubble so that future generations might tread upon these stones with all the contempt they deserve. The Tower's defenders, those feckless curators of historical revision, would have you believe it is an invaluable piece of heritage, a puzzle piece in some sanitized tapestry of the British monarchy's glorious story. Spare me this claptrap. For centuries the Tower served as a theatre of dread, a place of unspeakable torments inflicted under the cloak of regal authority. Its dungeons housed innocents from every creed who found themselves on the wrong side of the monarch's whim. People were stretched on the rack, starved into confessions, and in some cases dragged out to the chopping block in full view of ghoulish onlookers, all because an unelected figure in ermine robes felt threatened by ideas as simple as personal liberty or religious diversity. The oft-lionized Henry VIII, overstuffed on his own arrogance, used the Tower's grounds as a convenient butcher's yard for his wives and courtiers, dispensing with them the moment they proved troublesome to his bottomless ego. Historians dutifully record that Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard met their death blows there, yet seldom do they dwell on the indecent aftermath. Unceremonious burial in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, practically tossed under the floor as if they were mere refuse. This is the monarchy's legacy in a nutshell. Pretend splendour masking a heart of callous brutality. And yet in modern times we are asked to forget all this. We are coaxed to snap selfies with the beefeaters, to gawk at the so-called crown jewels, themselves plundered from foreign lands with all the grace of a midnight burglary, to coo over ravens that have been mercilessly pinioned so they might never depart this wretched monument. Every possible means is taken to garnish the Tower with a veneer of harmless pageantry so the monarchy can keep selling its myths. The gift shop brims with commemorative knickknacks, each one a tiny advertisement for the absurd proposition that this macabre fortress is somehow a bastion of cultural pride. Let us not be hoodwinked by the hackneyed argument that its mere antiquity justifies its preservation. Evil can be ancient too, and if we refuse to tear down every structure with a vile history, we would be plagued by endless shrines to the worst impulses of humanity. Acknowledge the history, yes. Preserve it in books, in museums, in documentaries that tell the unvarnished truth. But we need not keep standing towers of oppression in pristine condition, nor should we encourage unsuspecting visitors to file through them as though they were trotting through a quaint living diorama. Instead, I implore any soul visiting London, do not squander your time in the cobbled corridors of this gaudy chamber of horrors. March past it, should you somehow resist the impulse to hurl a brick at its hideous facade, and make your way instead to Wapping High Street, to St. John's Churchyard. There you will find a quiet plaque dedicated to Thomas Rainsborough, a man who dared to imagine a more equitable future during the English Civil War. His was a voice demanding liberty for the many, not worshipful subjugation to the few. For his convictions he was cut down and cast aside by a system that loathed the very idea of true democracy. In that churchyard, among the living and the dead who never wore crowns or coronets, you may find a spark of genuine inspiration, a tribute not to tyranny, but to the possibility of something better. Let the Tower crumble, if only in our collective moral imagination, so that we might dispense with the last illusions that monarchy is harmless pageantry. It has perpetuated monstrous cruelty under the guise of God-given right for too many centuries. To those who defend this abomination, I say, the time of looking the other way is over. We do not need to pay homage to a relic that lauds the worst aspects of power. We need to supplant it with memory, undiluted and accurate, that teaches us how easily tyranny takes root if left unchallenged. If such honest remembrance requires the Tower's ruin, so be it. Let those stones be ground into dust, fit only to remind us how civilizations decline when barbarity is dressed in ermine and crowned with gold.